Hey gorgeous souls, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another one of my videos today. So today's video is a podcast interview from the #1 spirituality podcast on iTunes, my Spiritual Queens Badass podcast. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking with a best-selling author and intuitive, George Lizos, who has been a regular here on this channel and on my podcast over the years. I absolutely love George, and I loved this interview so much because George's wisdom and insights into energy protection and how to protect yourself online are so valuable and so needed. And we cover how to protect yourself online, what kind of energies can come up, and why you may be feeling funky as you navigate through all the different social media apps and the online sphere. So this is a conversation not to be missed, and I really hope you are going to enjoy it. And of course, if you want to listen to any more of our guest interviews on the podcast, then of course I have a whole playlist here on my YouTube channel where you can find all the video interviews with other incredible authors, peers, and incredibly inspiring spiritual teachers and gurus. So I really hope you're going to enjoy this episode with George. Please let me know what your biggest takeaway is in the comments below, because I would love to hear what you take away from this amazing podcast episode. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me for another one of my Spiritual Queens Badass podcast episodes today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I am so excited to have the wonderful George Lizos with us today. So this is George's third time coming on the podcast, so he is very familiar with you guys, and obviously we hopefully know a lot about George's story already. And of course, he is here today to talk about his new book, which I am so excited about. So George, if you don't know, is a spiritual teacher and psychic healer, who is passionate about helping light workers to follow their purpose of creating positive change in the world. He's the #1 best-selling author of Light Workers Gotta Work, Be the Guru and Protect Your Light, creator of Intuition Mastery School, and the host of the Lit Up Lightworker podcast. So welcome to the show, George, once again.
Such an honor to be here for the third time, my darling. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are always welcome, George. So you've obviously come on the podcast a couple of times before. So the first question that I ask everybody who comes on the podcast, I think it would be good to just have a little mini recap for anybody who's coming across you for the first time is, when did you spiritually awaken? What's your story?
So it all started when I was growing up in this small Mediterranean island of Cyprus, where I'm from. And what happens with small spaces and small communities, and we can all find that within whatever community we're in, whether it's an emotional community, a physical community, or a mental community, given certain thoughts or belief systems that we have, is that people expect you to be a certain way. They tend to be very judgmental. So growing up, I had this need that I always had to change who I am as a person to make myself fit in. So I allowed other people's expectations and opinions of me to affect the way I think about myself. So I developed people-pleasing tendencies and also perfectionism in my attempt to fit in. Now, fast forward when I was 13 years old and I realized that I was gay in a society that thought that gay people were criminals and pedophiles. There was no way I would consciously choose to take on yet another term that would discriminate me against other people. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna approach this in the same way that I've approached everything in my life. I'm just gonna teach myself to be straight, and I'm gonna change myself from gay to straight one step at a time. And of course, it doesn't work that way because I was born this way. But 2 years later, I put myself in such a masochistic journey of trying to monitor the way I walked, the way I talked, the way I behave in the world, when I reached such a low depression point in my life that I felt worthless, and I decided that the only way out was to take my own life. And that's when things shifted for me. Just before I did it, I had this epiphany that started my spiritual journey. And the epiphany was, stop caring what other people think of you, stop caring what society, what the church thinks, and just learn to love and accept yourself exactly as you are. And that's when I realized how important energy protection was, because things work energetically, cognitively, emotionally. Whenever we have feelings or thoughts about something, about ourselves, about other people, there's always an energetic component behind that. If I had known how to properly protect my energy to shield myself from other people's ideas and feelings and beliefs, then I would have prevented myself from getting to that point. And that's when I started a whole path of empowering others with tools and practices that will allow them to find all the answers that they need within them so they can become aligned with their own authentic self and purpose. Which is why in my new book, Protect Your Light, I define energy protection as the art of being energetically authentic as well as being cognitively or emotionally.
So would you say that was your first experience of realizing about energy protection, or would you say there was another sort of situational thing that happened where you realized that energy protection was real and was needed?
That's when I realized that there is energy around us that affects us in different ways, but I hadn't used the term energy protection back then. That was something that I discovered retrospectively thinking about that story. What really made it poignant to me how energy protection and how energy works is when I went on TV for the first time on national TV here in my home island in Cyprus. And I had forgotten to protect myself. I knew some basic energy protection tools like shielding yourself with white light, for example, although that's not enough. And we can talk about that later on. So I had completely forgotten to shield myself. I go on TV, everything went well. I come home, and that's when I felt it. Pressure in my chest, stomach ache, like migraines, feelings of like my heart was beating fast, couldn't breathe. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm being energetically attacked right now. I'm being psychically attacked because I had exposed myself to so many people sending energy towards me without having any shields to protect myself. It's like going to Iceland with your swim shorts in the winter and it's minus something and you're there enjoying the non-existent sunshine with your swim shorts and you're allowing your body to be exposed to that. Same thing with energy. If we expose ourselves to a large amount of people who don't know us and may not necessarily think have the best opinion about us or think negative thoughts towards us, etc., then we have to be energetically protected. We have to put on our energetic coat to keep ourselves safe.
So true. And I remember, what was it, like probably like 4-5 years ago now when we first met. We actually met through energy protection because I was going through a phase in my life where I was having psychic attacks and I was like, God, like this white light is just not enough. And I knew basics, like you say, about energy protection, but going on that workshop of yours and learning about energy protection changed my whole life, because since then I've been doing it every single day without fail. And even when I have missed a day for whatever reason, like I know I've missed it. And having those tools, having that awareness has just allowed me to protect my social media, protect myself, and really just allow my energy to be my own. I think before I very much probably was influenced by those outside energies and also like receiving those psychic attacks, which sounded scary, I guess, at first, like, oh my God, what's happening? But actually, when you know what it is and you have the tools, like it's so easy and simple to work through and can just change your life massively. So I think it's like a non-negotiable energy protection. Like for me, it's like you have to be doing it. And it's really interesting, George, because very recently I've started to see people really sort of slag energy protection off online and be like, it's your limiting beliefs and fears. Like, I don't protect myself at all. If you're protecting yourself, this is a limiting belief that you have. And I thought, that's really strange. And I thought, God, I know I would be like a mess if I didn't do it. So like for me, I'm like, I know the benefits. That's why I do it. So what would you say to those people who maybe think it is a limiting belief or fear?
That's a great question, and it's something that, as you said, many people are talking about right now. There's a heated debate in the spiritual community around, is energy protection feeding the belief of fear, or is it just a necessary thing we have to do? And I address that in Protect Your Light. I have an entire chapter explaining both schools of thought, and I believe that both schools of thought are right, and both schools of thought can coexist. Here's where I come from. When we are fully aligned to our oneness, to source, to who we really are, to the essence of love, then nothing can touch us. We are protected. Our belief and our alignment in love and oneness and our inner being is our greatest energy protection tool. However, who can say that we can be 24/7 aligned to love and light? We are human beings. If we were meant to be aligned to love and light 24/7, we wouldn't have been born. We wouldn't have chosen to come into this life experience. We are here to experience contrasting emotions and the whole range of human emotions. So there will come a time at some point in our day when we fall out of alignment. It is in those moments that we need the energy protection tools to bring ourselves back into alignment. So I see energy protection as a way of bringing ourselves back home when we've strayed away from it. At the same time, the idea and the need to protect ourselves is so deeply embedded into our DNA. We can't hide from it. When you go back to the first humans, they lived in caves to protect themselves from wild animals, to protect themselves from cold. That is a belief in protection. We can't run away from that belief. Some people tell me, okay, just deprogram your belief so you don't talk about that. You can't, in my experience. I've tried to do that, by the way. When I first discovered about energy protection, I'm like, great, I have these hypnotherapy tools and I have all these different modalities. I'm just going to deprogram that belief in protection. I'm not going to need energy protection. It is so deeply ingrained into who we are that however much deprogramming work you will do, from my experience, there still will be that 0.0000001% of you that believes in attack, that believes in the need for protection. In the same way, we set up strong passwords on our social media sites, on our website. When we get an umbrella or put a coat on when it's cold or rainy outside. In the same way we protect our physicality, our homes, our possessions, we also have to protect our energy. Why is that different from all different measures we take to protect ourselves? Why do we expect ourselves to be perfect spiritual beings constantly in alignment and not needing protection, and not expect ourselves to be totally protected when we set a password that's 1, 2, 3, 4, or just get out and expose ourselves to the elements with nothing on? Why is one different from the other?
And it's so true. I mean, it's like home insurance or phone insurance. Like, nobody gets those things because they're like, my house is like, the house is going to be robbed or the phone's going to break. But it's one of those things of like, even like pet insurance I've got for Luna. It's like, you have it just in case. And it's just one of those things that you do. It's not that you expect to rely on it or or want to use it. It's more of a case of, I have that protection there if that was to happen. So I think it's a really good way to reframe it, of not coming at it from a scarcity. And I always remember, I think it was you who said this to me years ago, of the only way the psychic attack can come in is if there's room for it. And if that's the break in the aura, or emotionally you're in a vulnerable place or something. So like you say, when you're in that place of alignment and unconditional love, like there is nothing that can impact that. Whereas if you're feeling funky and you're not really looking after yourself, or you're not prioritizing your self-love, self-care, and maybe you are doing the inner work as well at that time, like I feel like for me that was definitely when those things were more prone to happen. But let's take it a little bit back, because I feel like we've got really deep already. So for anybody who's completely new to this, what is energy protection and why do we need to do it?
So in Protect Your Light, I define energy protection as the art of being energetically authentic. It's about ensuring that what's ours is ours, what's theirs is theirs. It's about creating strong energetic boundaries between us and the external world, both people and spaces and spirits, to ensure that we are the ones allowing energies to come in. By energies, I mean thoughts, I mean beliefs, I mean emotions, and I also mean energies, like spiritual energies and just simply energy. So it's all about taking our lives back, because we have this energy field, this chakra system and the auric system that's like a sponge. It both sends and receives energy. So as we go through life, interacting with people both online and offline, we catch different, I call them in the book, energetic attachments. And I talk about all the different types of energetic attachments. If our energy field becomes so cluttered with those energetic attachments that are not ours, they are external, then eventually we end up thinking other people's thoughts, feeling other people's emotions, behaving in ways that are not in alignment with who we really are, and therefore with our life purpose, and therefore we're not authentic beings. We don't live our authentic life. We don't have our authentic thoughts, emotions, energy, behavior, and certainly not an authentic life purpose. We follow other people's purpose, live other people's lives. Energy protection is simply a system of taking our lives back.
And we've already discussed how needed it is already. So hopefully people can understand, from our experiences, what they've been and why we feel it's really important. And I think it's a topic that does need to be spoken about more, because I feel like it is one of those things, like, you either hear people talk about it massively in the spiritual sphere, or you hear people not talking about it at all and are like, it's all fear-based. So I think there's like two extremes, and it's kind of like meeting in the middle, like you say, and saying both are right, but it's actually like, you would have home insurance, you would take an umbrella out, wear a coat. It's just one of those things of, you have it, but you may not need to use it, sort of thing. So moving on then. So why do you think we pick up negative energy, etc., from online and social media? So let's focus on the online sphere specifically. Like, what are the effects on us?
This is a very important topic, and in my research of writing Protect Your Light, I haven't seen any book talk about digital energy protection, which has become incredibly important, especially after COVID, especially since we're going into the metaverse right now and everything will shift online and be virtual. So to understand how we have to protect ourselves online, we first need to understand how the digital landscape functions. So the digital landscape is a reflection, a mirror of the physical world, in the same way that our world is divided into continents, countries, cities, spaces. So we have public spaces, we have private spaces, we have semi-private spaces. The digital world was created to mirror that. So if you think of the digital landscape as the physical presence of our world, the globe, okay, the earth, then picture that the different countries and continents are the different social media sites we use. So we have Facebookville and Instagram land, and you have TikTok as a different country over there. So this is our world of the digital landscape. And as we go into each and every one of the social media sites, or any other communication sites we use, or applications such as WhatsApp, for example, we have a combination of private, semi-private, and public spaces. For example, let's take Instagram as an example. You have the Explore tab. That is a public space of Instagram, where you encounter different people, different kind of topics. Then you have a private space such as the DMs. Then you have semi-private spaces such as your feed, because you choose who to see there, but you can't control what they post. So you have all these different spaces. And as you go through them, even though you're at home, sitting relaxed on your couch, your mind, your energy, your emotions are globetrotting through these social media sites, and are having experiences and conversations with people, with spaces, with energies, with entities through these digital spheres, and you catch different energetic attachments and frequencies. Psychologists, there is research done on this, and they coined the term the emotional contagion, which basically is a phenomenon, whereas someone feeling a strong negative emotion, posting about it on Facebook in one side of the world, affects and communicates that emotion to someone in a completely different part of the world reading that post. So that emotion spews out of the digital landscape into the physical world, into our own inner being, into our own emotions, into our own world, and we are affected by that. So it's very important, having this understanding, to have tools and practices that we can use to secure our protection, both online, meaning protecting our own digital spaces, but also protecting ourselves as we navigate through them.
Amazing, and so important. And like, just hearing you explain it like that, it makes so much sense, definitely. So how can we protect our energy online? What are your top tips?
So in Protect Your Light, I have an entire part of the book, part 4, which is all about digital energy protection. Essentially, the same tools that we use to protect our physical bodies can be used to protect our digital landscape as well. In the book, I talk about a 7-step system to energy protection, but I'm going to give you the main 3 steps that can be applied both offline and online. These 3 steps are identify, clear, shield. Identify has to do with energetically and psychically scanning our online platforms to identify what energetic attachments are there so we can clear them. Step number 2, clearing, is all about using different clearing practices, such as working with the essence of fire or the essence of wind or water, because I talk a lot about working with the elements in the book to cleanse the energy from our social media sites and ourselves. And then the third is all about shielding, and there are different types of shields we can use. In the book, I talk about 3 different types of shields: amplifying, repelling, and transmuting shields. Different shields work in different ways. The white light shield, for example, is an amplifying shield. It raises your vibration. It protects you in that way. But then you have repelling shields that repel energy. You have transmuting shields such as a violet flame that transmute energy coming towards you. And there are different shields we can use for different situations depending on what's happening in each digital space or within our physical spaces and ourselves as well. Specifically, ways of clearing and protecting your energy in like tactical tips. I have both tactical tips and energetic tips. Some tactical tips in protecting your energy online is realizing that although these spaces are they're public and private and semi-public spaces, it's important to realize that we are the mayors of our digital cities, and therefore we have power. We can tell the algorithm of the social media sites of what we want to see and what we want to see less of. So a tactical tip would be taking control over our privacy settings, our friends list, and telling our social media sites exactly what we want. Like disabling ads, for example. If we don't like something that someone is sharing, like telling Instagram or TikTok, I want to see less of this. I'm not interested in this. You can do this in most of those social media sites. You can mute people if you don't want to see certain things. You can unfollow people. You can take control. Or you can tell yourself how much you can consume and how much you want to create at any social media sites. For example, for me personally on Instagram, I no longer scroll. I focus more on contributing, on sharing, rather than scrolling and receiving the energy from the different sites. So these are tactical practices that we can take. When it comes to an energetic practice we can use to protect, is to create a digital amulet or a digital talisman. Now, talismans and amulets are used interchangeably, but they're different things. Historically, talismans are all about amplifying and creating new positive energy, whereas amulets are all about protecting and warding off negative energy. So we can charge a post on Instagram with our intention of setting it as a talisman or setting it as an amulet, and even instill in it a certain shield that you can learn in the book, all about communicating that energy in the digital landscape. Or we can use existing amulets and talismans that we use. For example, many people work with Archangel Michael. They can post a picture of Archangel Michael and set the intention that this picture acts as an amulet, repelling and warding off negative energy.
I love those tips. And it's a bit like, I guess, like a skincare routine. That's how I've always seen it, of like cleanse, tone, and moisturize. Of it's not enough to just do the white bubble of light. And I think I did that for so long, years back. And then when I really learned your work and did that workshop, I thought, okay, this is like clearly not enough. You got to cleanse, you got to tone, you got to moisturize. So really that light, that shield is like the last thing that you do, and the last thing that I personally do in my morning protection routine, just because you don't want to like trap stuff in. You don't want to trap anything that's been sent to you, or just like stuff you've picked up out and about. You really want to like cleanse that away. So I love those tips. So what is a routine or habit we can do daily to protect ourselves on our platforms?
Ooh, I love that. So first tip is be intentional. Be intentional with every platform. And I'm gonna give this is the tactical tip, but I'm also gonna give an energetic tip, and I'm gonna explain how they work together. So being intentional has to do with knowing why we're going into this platform and for what reason we're going there and what we're going to do, and making sure we don't get distracted and actually doing that. To get to that point, though, it's very important that we establish our alignment, our personal physical alignment, so that we can be energetically guided to follow through that intention. Because when we are ungrounded, when we are uncentered, however much intentionality we want to have, it's so much easier for us to be distracted because our energy is off. So basic steps that we can use to protect our energy online on a daily basis is centering and grounding ourselves before going on social media. Centering and grounding are overly used, but they're not overly explained the right way. So let me break them down for people. Centering is all about ensuring that all the different parts of ourselves, our emotions, our thoughts, our spirit, our physical body, they all occupy the same space. So it's about, for example, a quick practice is visualizing our heart as a magnet, attracting the different layers of our aura to the center of our body. And the different layers of our aura includes our energy body, our mental bodies, our emotional bodies. So bringing everything to our body so that we are in control of our energy and our body. Because if our physical body is present, but our minds are somewhere else and our emotions are somewhere else, and we go into social media, we're totally distracted, and we're gonna go down this rabbit hole of distraction into the social media landscape. Now, this is centering. Grounding is all about securing our connection with the earth so that we can be afforded with the earth's natural high vibe life force protective energy. The earth, and this is something that I talk about in the book and I emphasize it, the earth is the OG energy protector. She's been here since the beginning of time, 4.5 billion years. We've been here for a few 100,000 years, literally like a blink of the eyes in the Earth's timeline. The Earth and the Earth's spirits, the elementals, they know how to maintain vitality. They know how to clear impurities and how to bring in life force energy. So when we connect ourselves with the earth by grounding ourselves, visualizing our feet as roots, grounding us into the earth and connecting with the energy of the earth, we align our energy, we entrain our energy to the energy of the earth, which afford us with a sense of safety, of protection, of centeredness. At the same time, it adds to our centeredness. And then when we go into social media, then our intentionality can really be fulfilled because we are centered, we're focused, we're in control of our bodies, our energy, and we know exactly what we're going, what we're saying, who we're talking with. And if something comes up that's unexpected, then we can easily bring ourselves back home because we have that connection with the earth and ourselves.
So important and great tips there. Thank you, George. I'm sure, well, I'm going to use them and I'm sure they'll be super useful for everybody listening as well. So one final question to you then. What is one piece of life advice that you'd like to leave my lovely listeners with today?
It would be to have an energy protection practice every single morning. It can take 5 minutes, but in the same way you brush your teeth and you put on your clothes before you go to work, it's very important to also put on your energetic coat. And also always remember the 3 steps of energy protection. Identify, psychically scan and identify what's there, then clear it, use one of the processes in Protect Your Light to do so, and then shield yourself with a different shield depending on your situation. If you do this every single day for at least 5 minutes, and first of all, you clear what was there from the previous day, and also you protect yourself moving on through the day. And you will find a greater connection with who you really are. You'll find a greater connection with your purpose, with your authenticity. You'll find yourself feeling happier, more in control of your energy, and therefore more productive as you're going through life, more present with your family, with your friends. And most importantly, you're gonna make a bigger impact with your purpose as a light worker, helping create positive change in the world.
Amazing. Love that. So let's talk about your book then. So your book is actually released today by the time this podcast comes out. So let's talk about Protect Your Light. Where can people get it and what can we expect?
So Protect Your Light, a practical guide to energy protection, cleansing, and cutting cords is available everywhere all around the world, everywhere books are sold. But if you go to protectyourlightbook.com, when you order the book and you enter your order receipt number, you will get a 2-hour online workshop with me called Psychic Scanning Workshop, where I teach you how to turn on and train your psychic vision so that when you practice that identify step, you know how to scan your body to identify energies.
Amazing. Well, I cannot wait to get my hands on a copy. I know it's getting its way to me right now in the mail, so I'm so excited to read it. And I'm so chuffed for you, so proud of all the amazing things you've done, George. And I'm so excited for everybody to give it a read. And of course, I'll put a clickable link to George's book and website in the description below. So you've got a nice, easy, accessible link to go and find it. So where can my lovely listeners follow you, George, if they want to learn more about your work?
Best place to follow me would be Instagram at George Lizos. On TikTok, I am George Lizos, and then Facebook, I have a Facebook group called Your Spiritual Toolkit Facebook group.
Love it. So thank you so much, George, for coming on today. I have learned tons from this. I'm sure everybody else listening has learned so many amazing pearls of wisdom on all things energy protection, how we can protect ourselves online. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Emma.
So thank you so much for watching this interview today. I really hope it has brought so much joy and wisdom into your life and some really practical, amazing tools that you can go away and work with. So thank you so much, gorgeous souls, for watching. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments box down below, because I reply to them all. Don't forget you can join my free Law of Attraction support group over on Facebook, where you can join myself and other like-minded souls where we talk all things Law of Attraction and spirituality. I hope you have a fantastic week, whatever you're up to, and I will see you all in my next video, which will be on Friday. Lots of love.